Well, hello again, and as was the case the last time I spoke to you from St James's Park, I found myself as just about the last person in here, and I can hear the shutters closing over my shoulder there. Now, given I'm going home to look after three boys, my wife's away this weekend, 3, 6 and under, there's an argument to say if I am locked in here, I'll probably get a better night's sleep in a quiet stadium. Now, if, as is inevitable, I'm up during the night with the youngest of those, I probably won't be watching a rerun of this game, I have to say. Probably only Eddie Howe is the only man on Tyneside who's going to watch back this match. Now, I should probably say before I go any further, my wife's away and someone is with my children currently. I didn't just say watch the match, lads, I'll see you when I see you. So, but the oldest was watching it, I think, and a little bit frustrated from what I gather at times, and I guess you guys were as well. And this was the point I made to Eddie Howe afterwards, and I've made it in my Mail on Sunday match report, which you can find if you click on the link below. Isn't it a marker of the progress Newcastle have made during the past 18 months? So the home draw with West Ham is met with such a sort of deflatory feel, and the issues we were discussing down there in the press room amongst us, 16 matches unbeaten it is now for Newcastle in the Premier League, slipping to fourth in the table. Doesn't that all just exemplify currently where they're at? So a degree of perspective has to be placed to analysis of what was a disappointing afternoon for them, but it does show how far they've come, and it's also a marker of how far West Ham have fallen and how much they have regressed. That one of their reporters asked David Moyes afterwards, what's it like, how does it feel to win 3 straight matches in all competitions? To which David Moyes had to remind him, well no, we only drew here. But they did celebrate that point with absolute enthusiasm, didn't they? Whereas Newcastle, Eddie and the players there walked around at the end and they looked rather flat. And why was that? Well, my analysis of the performance, they started brilliantly. Goodness me, the first 2 minutes scoring twice. Of course, one of the goals, there's the shutters. The first goal of those, Joe Willock's, as well as he took it, I think it was always going to be disallowed. Our view from the press box, we thought Almiron's pullback was out straight away. Then West Ham, go and surrender possession straight away from the restart, and Wilson goes through and scores. But from that moment onwards, really, Newcastle lost their way in the first half, didn't they? And by the time Lucas Paqueta equalised, it wasn't really much of a surprise. And Declan Rice, and we'll come back to him, was absolutely the game's outstanding player. We're at fairly close quarters there, where we sit behind the dugout in the press seats, and he just looked bigger, stronger, quicker than everybody else. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. You can see why he is England's first choice midfielder. Now, one of the viewers, one of the readers has sent a message to me saying that Declan Rice would complete Newcastle, and he is absolutely the sort of player which Newcastle want in that holding role now, to free Bruno Guimaraes, who was missing today, to go and play further up the field. But what I will say to counter that is that Newcastle not having a holding midfielder isn't the reason, that they've drawn 4 of the last 5 matches. And for me, it is more those in the final third. The goal they conceded today was the first time they've conceded in the league for nearly 10 hours. So, the base of the team isn't the foundation. That's not the problem. The problem is those in the top end of the pitch have gone off the boil. And again today, Almiron had the brilliant run, and no one has praised him more than me. But today, he didn't really look like having a shot, let alone scoring a goal. Callum Wilson, got his goal, the first time since October that he's found the back of the net. But when he really has to go and win the game, and he's put through there with 15-20 minutes to go, he's not quick enough to get away from his man, and the chance goes. And again today, he did look a little bit leggy, and there's clearly something slightly amiss with him. I spoke to Malcolm MacDonald about it before the game in the press room, and he was saying the same himself. He just thinks that Wilson isn't really moving correctly at the moment. I'm sure that is something that would be refuted by the player in Eddie Howe, but I kind of agree with Saint-Maximin, and I did say to him, bearing in mind Wilson hasn't scored for a few months now, I said to Saint-Maximin, did you have a similar sort of goal drought? And he said, yeah, over the summer, which was a quite amusing response. But I just thought Newcastle weren't firing in that final third. That is the reason they have drawn 4 from 5. But again, the caveat to all of that is that they're still in the top 4 in the table, and the big positive I thought to come from today was Anthony Gordon in the last half hour there. Now, on the flip side of that, one of the negatives was perhaps that Alan Saint-Maximin, who came in for Bruno and started high on the left as we expected, didn't take his chance. I think we've got to be honest there. I'd been calling for a little while now for him to come in. I just thought that the way Newcastle were looking stale and a little bit predictable in the final third at times, of course they've had the run of goalless draws as well, haven't they? I just thought it needed someone like St Max to come in and mix it up. But today, did he not suggest, his performance showed that perhaps he is better as an impact player from the bench? I just don't think he had that spark and that injection that they needed. Whereas Anthony Gordon, when he came on, look, he did more in 15 minutes than St Max did in over an hour. So, the Gordon's debut was a positive. And on that we should probably address the little newsy item. I say little newsy item. Anthony Gordon, it emerged in a national newspaper over the weekend, has been pictured driving whilst disqualified. Now, my understanding of that, the report warned that he could face jail, of course, as well. Now, my understanding of that is that Gordon was disqualified in absentia on Monday, so was not aware that he had been banned from driving. The correspondence was sent to an old address. He was only aware of the situation when the club were contacted by a national newspaper during the week. Since he's aware of that, we're told that he has been driven everywhere by his girlfriend, and he's now going down the correct legal channels in a bid to sort out that situation and have the ban overturned. So I asked Eddie about it afterwards, and he said he was aware of the situation, but again he reiterated kind of what I'd said there, and that he said that the story didn't quite add up as to his understanding of the facts. So yeah, we'll see there. But it's just another, on the back of Joe Linton's driving ban last week and news of Anthony Gordon's driving ban now. I mean, the guys on Newcastle United's media channels put together some absolutely wonderful content, and if karaoke carpool isn't one of the next offerings, I must say I'll be disappointed. But yeah, coming back to today's game, Newcastle, West Ham, Neville Hope v Wayne Winston, Norris, the big derby, of course. I thought in the end a draw was just about a fair result. Newcastle's best player I would probably have down as Joe Linton. I just thought in a midfield that was dominated by Rice, I thought he got about him and just sort of kept it together for Newcastle at times there in the middle of the park. Now, on Rice, David Moyes said afterwards, and I thought it was quite a telling admission. It was fairly unprompted. He said whenever Declan Rice leaves West Ham, the bidding starts at a British transfer record, which is £107 million. Of course, Enzo Fernandez just going to Chelsea. Now, Newcastle probably won't go that far, but going back to it, when you see him there today, wow, what a player. And another one I was interested to see, one of the viewers, thank you very much for getting in touch, has asked for my thoughts on Lucas Paqueta. Now, I've been a little bit critical of him when I've watched him in the past, and I think I mentioned in the preview video, didn't I, that I'd spoken to Eddie Howe before this game on Friday and asked for his thoughts on Paqueta and how close Newcastle had come to signing him, because I do know that they looked at him quite a lot, and I thought today there again, it backs up what I've seen so far. Little flashes, he scores the goal, he has a couple of nice touches, but he was also guilty of being muscled out of possession by Joe Linton when he clearly wasn't up for the fight, leading to Callum Wilson's goal. And I've seen nothing to convince me that Newcastle have missed out on one there. West Ham fans are saying to me that was his best performance yet for West Ham today. Well, if that's your best performance, I didn't think he was great. I thought he was okay. Scored a goal, some good, some bad, really. So now that was Paqueta, but I thought another former Newcastle target. I know they looked at this guy, KF Ergaard, at the back. I thought he was the far better bet, and I thought he was very good today. And I agreed with David Moyes when he said afterwards, if Ergaard hadn't have got injured in August and missed the first 3 or 4 months of the season, then West Ham would probably be higher up the table. I thought he was good today, and that challenge on the end and Callum Wilson there was fantastic. So Newcastle go down to Bournemouth next weekend, and like I say, they do just need to rediscover that spark in the final third, and Anthony Gordon could be the man to provide it. But again, just to finish, you forget that the corresponding fixture last season was the opening day of the campaign, when Newcastle were beaten 4-2 by West Ham in a scoreline that actually flattered Newcastle. I was banned that day by the current manager at the time, and I was sat over there in the Gallagher corner now. On that subject, how's West Brom getting on? Yeah, someone said to me they're in the playoff places. I have to go and check the championship table. So anyway, I'm off to do that, and I suppose the message from tonight is, and it was one Eddie Howe was keen to stress when we've just spoken to him, these are sort of first world problems we're discussing with Newcastle at the moment. 16 matches unbeaten and still in the top 4 in the Premier League shows how far they've come, and that is the sort of the basis of my Mail on Sunday match report, with the Carabao Cup final to come at the end of the month. Anyway, wish me luck, guys, during my parenting duties tonight, and I'll see you again this time next week. Okay, take care, bye bye.